All right, so we say 3, 2, 1. Let's go!
We got to do that again. I didn't know that was. I thought there was one take in it. You know, we got to 2-take this one. We got to 2-take this one. Let's do it.
Adelante.
Vámonos.
3, 2, 1. Let's go! Wow. I am the host of the PBE podcast, Troy Tittlemeyer, joined by my sidekick. Wait a minute, Skips is not in on this show as he has been a ninja in all different ways, doesn't make these shows consistently as he used to. And this time, we just did this, right? You guys are in town. I said, let's fire it up. Let's run a podcast, right? With Ray Munoz, Big Bro Rico. Quick introduction, guys. Quick introductions, and then we'll go around the horn on kind of what dropped out from this show, right, for us. And then that's it. Then we'll play this show forward, put it out there.
So for me, it was just an educational tool for the audience, you and Stan. I mean, I already knew mine and Big Bro's history. And it was just nice to be able to kind of, in my mind, really relive the decades, the 70s, 80s, 90s, to now in regards to the platforms that I've been involved with and what has made me currently who I am. And it was nice to be able to kind of bring back some of those memories because there's so much more that could have been said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so much
We're just getting started. Yeah. This is episode 1.
But,
we'll have
I'm honored for the opportunity to be able to at least speak of it in confidence, where I've been, where I'm at, and where I'm headed.
Right on. So tell me a little bit about Ray Munoz Consulting LLC, what you're doing now, Van Zandt Controls, what's going on?
Well, what's interesting is I got to be very careful on how I word this. It was time to move on from the corporate world. It was time for myself as an individual to start making the money that I've been making for everybody else. I've been very consistent on that. And then it was just time to, regain the opportunity to be the businessman that I used to be that got taken away from me. It was time. I had to go. So when this opportunity came up, and then the other oil and gas opportunities came up, I was thinking, hey, it's time to, redevelop another business. And that's where the consulting business came in. It's good to be back, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you back, bro.
Yeah, good to be back.
Good to see you back.
Right on. Right on. And Rico, quick introduction.
I'm obviously Rico Reyes. As far as what I got out of today, though, Troy, I got to tell you, alignment, the word alignment keeps coming into my head. From a team perspective, just seeing what you and Stan are about and what you stand for, and hey, man, is this what I want to be a part of, So everything for me is always team. I mentioned that before, and alignment is just ringing really heavily in my head. So that's what I want to do. I want to understand it. I want to know, like Ray, I want to have a comfort level where when I'm talking about it, it's funny. I was just over here at Scoops getting breakfast for us, and the lady says, hey, and she used to live in Bellevue, Washington. And,
oh, wow.
yeah, so, and she now lives at Cave Creek or somewhere here in Arizona. Cave Creek. But anyway, I was talking to her, and I was like, oh, yeah, down here, Magna Cum Research Institute, blah, 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 blah. And she starts asking me questions. Oh, there's some mining going on over here, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
And then she starts asking me. So I just gave her the tidbit that I understand.
What did that sound like?
And she wants to know where to go dig.
Well,
that's usually the case.
Well, I kept it very protective on you there, Stan. I got you. I got your back, Stan. So, no, more than anything, it was just a matter of knowing that, hey, man, I'm actually talking to this in a capacity that, from what I understand right now, which isn't a whole bunch, but the belief and the gut feeling. We always talk about gut.
Uh-huh.
Got to go with your gut. Feeling's gotten us out of so many problems in our lives.
Oh, my gosh, man.
None that we want to talk about on the podcast.
I'll grab Big Bro and say, bro, I can feel it in the air. We got to go.
Yeah, we can't be here. So, so those, those moments. But that's my gut is very settled. It's very easy. It's comfortable here. So Alignment, man. Alignment.
Nice and green down here.
Because of monsoons, right?
It's good
Yeah,
time.
just alignment. And I think that having the opportunity to be able to share some of, like Ray was saying, reminiscing on some of these things that you put away. You put them in a shoebox, put them at the top of your closet, because sometimes you don't want to remember them, But the reality is those things are what they're, that's what is chipping away at the frame of who you are. And, now, this is the core of who we are because of those experiences, right? So it's okay to remember those things. And it's safe to remember those things knowing who we are now. That's the important part. You got to identify that. Wow. It's not, man, I'm still that person, or we went through all that, or this and that. That's not the case. So.
And as kind of the administration side of Ray Munoz LLC, right? That's what you kind of are getting to be.
Yeah, I'm going to try to apply the skill set that I have and helping him to be able to manage a portion, of what it is that, that this endeavor as a whole, and I want to be good at it, right? So I'm all ears, man, and I'm just ready to learn and be a part of it and be successful and for all of us. And we'll say this though, it's good to see this guy over here where he's at. You know what I mean? And that having that opportunity, what he was saying, to be able to make his own money. It's time that people are going to see the value of what this change is going to be. And they're
Changes are coming.
Not doing it.
Can I get your version?
No.
Gosh, man. One of these days.
One of these days. We'll put it on record.
I always get a kick out of the podcast, man. I always get a kick out of just
Change is gonna come.
getting to let someone else unload on the mic. And, it does bring out a different something about people. They just, it's different, right? No matter how natural the question is, being on this microphone, knowing it's a podcast, knowing it's going out there.
That's not for me.
It might be coming for Stan.
They heard I was here.
That's the first time we've had a siren in the background of the podcast. That's the first time.
It has to be Border Patrol.
Change is a coming.
And we're sitting here.
No, it has to be Border Patrol, I guarantee
And
you.
we're sitting here. I got to watch the state driver's license.
Well, we got a big station here, that's for sure.
Again, I value every time I get on these microphones, dude. But this relationship for us in the last few weeks of really getting to know your family, getting to know you, and you, being who you are, as I feel like it's been I gravitate towards you pulling that out, and Ray's ability to do exactly the same thing in a different way, right? And I'm just like, wow, this must be real, right? This must be truth, right? I'm feeling it, right? In different ways, in different shapes, in different forms. And I'm like, man, that's exciting. That's exciting for me. And, put away the past, what is today, excitement, opportunity, and it's in alignment. Sure. It's in alignment. Sure. And so it's go time, man. And I get charged up because it's go time. And I'm excited for everybody because that's where we're at. It's
That's
go
we're
time.
very similar. I get the same way, man. I start getting like, hey, let's go to the gym right now. You know what I mean? Let's go lift.
But
just that passion behind it. It's very refreshing to see that.
Man,
it means that much.
Right? And so we dropped out all kinds of cool stuff. I thought squatting on conventional wisdom, the concept of squatting on conventional wisdom, because that's success. That's what we're kind of taught. That's what kind of hardwired in as you're watching kind of successful people around you. Squatting on conventional wisdom is not life. That is not how we move forward. That is death. Squatting on conventional wisdom to make a career is death. You're signing that certificate. There's no life there. There's no growth there. There's no change. There's no objective. That's going to be. It's squatting on conventional wisdom. It's a settlement. That's not what we're doing at all, right? That's not what's happened in any of this. Yep. There's no settling here. There's change coming, and we're a part of it, and it's out of our control. Like we did a podcast just the other day with a young economics major in LA. She said that what the pandemic did to inner city LA, everybody that's like plus 35 with a great job moved physically out of the city. They're done. They're living in houses in the suburbs. Mm-hmm. What's filling it? 21-year-olds. Physical bodies of 21-year-olds, college graduates, undergrads, all this stuff. That's what's filling the inner cities right now, man. With zero experience, right? Wow, what an interesting change that we got to embrace. You got to have empathy with the people that went out to the suburbs and the people that are filling up the new inner city. You got to communicate We got to integrate with all that stuff. You got to have the ability to make interrelational relationships.
And be honest.
Be honest.
Be honest with people, man. You know, give them the truth.
Sheesh.
Don't sauce somebody up thinking you're doing them a favor, man.
No.
I love you too much to not be honest with you right now.
John,
And tell you exactly what's going on.
I love you too much. My love for you demands me that I'm honest to you. It demands honesty.
Bang, bang, bang. Is that gonna happen? Oh, hey! Boom. That's it. Then you can sit back kind of like that.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Those are mine.
You got a headset? Well, you don't need the headsets to listen. We're gonna use the headset so we can check audio. That's all we're doing there, and then we can go ahead
And just take the headsets off afterwards, or
Yeah.
Okay. So put them on now,
Yep.
and just leave the microphone where it's
I
at.
watch that
Well,
coffee.
we're about to find out.
Oh, I see. Yeah, coffee's fine, dude.
Okay, so that's one window to
Just real quick. Bang, bang. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And we're just recording right now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 84, fellas.
Episode 84.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
And we are going to record to the cloud. Bang. Bang.
Boom, chakalaka. And this, so as you're launching.
Recording in progress.
Yep.
All
Boom.
right.
Share screen, because we'll need to do that. But before I do that, let's go participants. Invite, copy.
He's done this a time or two, hadn't he? Hey, mute your phone, Chris. I'll do the same with mine.
Yeah, good call on the mutes.
Yeah. Just mute the phone.
So then I'm going to go here, here, here. And that's how I communicate to this phone here.
Wow, this is cool, man. You've been in studios before, man. This is nice.
And now we're about to see Ray and Big
the
Bro.
What they have in Midland that makes this thing look like nothing.
The one in Midland.
Oh, man, a multi-million-dollar facility. It's at the,
South of town.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
Mud Rock Studio.
Exactly.
Shit, that place is amazing. Yeah. All right, let's get you guys in.
So you want to do a test run real quick as far as audio?
Yep, got it. Video. Oh.
Right
There
on.
you guys go. That looks good.
All right.
Well, let's see. What do you guys think? We don't really need
The
the
brothers with the
room in the background.
See, what do you want me to-
gnome.
We can slide you
Checking you out.
guys.
See him got a beard. See the beard on him?
Should I mean,
The face and the hat. God, that's amazing how that works out.
Yep, I'm thinking we're gonna scoot. Well, the
By the
microphone.
way,
want to scoot back a little bit if you
the
can.
actual rock.
You want
is
me to go that
where
way?
it starts.
Yeah, because the mic. Yeah, Yeah.
There, right there. Perfect.
The
So,
secret of oil is actually looking at you guys.
Do you want to close the door?
well, let's see what it looks like with the door closed. Yeah, it might look a little better than the open room, huh?
Well, I don't know. Well, it kind
Oh,
of
there you
looks
go. You've
a
got
little more
a
studio-y.
little noise suppressant on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Somebody
All right.
saw that and said,
Can you
"Oh,
guys hear me okay?
that looks
What, they think that looked hokey?
looks amateurish." And I said, "Well, that's because we."
I'm unshaven and look like a street bum.
Well, that's right.
No, you look good. You look good. Let's check that. Just the visual on this.
Okay.
So as I'm talking, we're actually looking at each other, right? So my eyes or their eyes are this thing, right?
Uh-huh.
For you guys. So it's almost like you're looking at them, but you can just keep your eyes on me. You don't have to worry about the looking at the camera.
You're coming in pretty clear on my end.
Okay. And then this camera's obviously on me, and so I think our conversation and the way this could look is good.
So avoid looking at the screen and
Yep.
I'm directing my commentary towards you
Yep.
until his turn.
Yep. And if we need to pull up anything on Google or whatever, we got it right here.
Pick my nose and.
Now get back to Audacity, and this is how I start figuring out where the quality of your guys' voice is going to be. So, like Rico, just tell me where you're born for a minute or whatever. So just start rapping for a minute.
Okay. From Midland, Texas originally. Was there till I was about, 18 years old. Yep. Then moved on, did a lot of time in California. Now currently living in Seattle.
Yep.
And
how much do you weigh?
300 pounds.
That's not bad.
It's not good.
But it's all muscle, man.
Well, I'd like to think that. But you don't get a physique like this pushing yourself away from the dinner table. So, I'm just saying. So.
All right, Ray, where are you from?
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, just like the river. I've been running since. Is that good?
I love it, man. I love it. You're obviously, as you engage in the conversation, you're going to be moving forward, or you kind of sit back when you engage. You don't,
just stay right here.
Right. You're comfortable there.
Yeah. I'm a shaker and a baker, man.
All right, let's hear how that audio sounds. Let's see.
Podcast we did at the destination. Yeah. I had to get right on the microphone.
Right. Slightly different microphones.
Different.
Pretty good without them being right up on, right?
No, I think it's coming through okay. Rico, one more time. Where are you from?
Midland, Texas. Mudville.
That's the way I like to say it.
Dusty West.
Fucking A. We're here. We're live.
We're here. We're doing
Wait, I had another version. Why do I keep loving you?
So you don't want to ask him a second time? Or give him his,
I will love to wrap this up with a duet from the brothers. From Ray and Big Bro. Come on, Big Bro.
Figure it out. All this can be edited, dude.
Right. So if we're actually engaged and you want to restate something, don't hesitate.
Trust him.
And just simply say, hey, Troy.
Let's do that again, right? Let's just run that back 5 minutes and do it again. Like if that happens and you really feel like your gut is telling you that we need to restate that, make it a little more clear, make it right. If we need to do that, we do that. And you won't be able to tell that we do that really in post-production. It goes. So we record the conception part of the show first. That's literally just me listening to your guys' stories. I want to hear it. I want to hear about the sports, the athlete. I want to hear the story of Ray Munoz and Rico.
In regards to our lives?
Yes. Wow. Development. And then obviously transferring into your careers, right? That's the end of the conception show, which is going to be the drill down, which is our point of the show is what's the difference between learning and earning, right? What happens through that development into professional year, and then what happened in that professionalism? What did you learn and earn through those years of not being in academia, being in the job, you know what I mean? The drill down, that's that. And then we do the completion part of the show, which is where are we going from here? Right? What are we doing? What are we doing together? Where are we taking this? Right? Where are we taking our time and attention? That'd be cool. And then at the very end, we record the intro, which is the 3, 2, 1, let's go. And then it's like 5-10 minutes of just kind of what dropped out from this show from you. I want your perspective after this hour that we spend. I want to hear just a few minutes of what did you get from this?
Okay. Yeah. Right. So I'll start from my high school career.
Okay. Give us a little bit of maybe where you're born, right?
Okay.
Right. You grew up.
My name is Ray Munoz. I was born in Midland, Texas in 1960. I'm old, but I'm an old young. Growing up in West Texas, Midland, Texas, of all things, the journey of growing up in, I wouldn't say deprived upbringing, but being exposed in the 7th grade as we were being segregated to go to junior high school, and you start meeting these young men whom, unbeknownst to me at the time, who became my dear friends. We still stay in touch. Some of the wealthiest kids in the state of Texas. Now, I didn't even know what that represented, guys.
Wow.
The thing that helped me out was on the athleticism. Growing up with some phenom Chicano brothers and black brothers, And when we showed up, man, we certainly had a presence. But it was awesome to be able to combine not only the three races that were part of the. And I'll bring that up, guys, because I mean it was still very racial back in the day, back in the 70s.
That's right. That's right.
But our development of friendship, knowledge, athleticism, etc., got me through the process.
Carried over all that other stuff.
Oh my gosh, Troy. Didn't have a choice. Didn't want a choice. I mean, I played baseball, basketball, ran track, and football. It was awesome.
Wow. What was your 400-meter run?
Oh my gosh, man.
Fast?
It was quick.
He was a distance guy.
I was a distance guy, man.
So
You were the sprinter.
This cat right here, man. Yeah. My 40 was a little bit better than his, so if he was chasing me down.
His short run. I'm the cheetah. He was the antelope. You know what I mean? I get him. But no, he was quick, man.
So you're in high school, or you're transitioning to high school, and Rico's getting born.
73, man. I was in 72, 73. I was 12, 13 years old, man. And here we go. Uh-huh. It was fun growing up. My big bro here, when he was old enough to travel, I mean, I would throw him in the vehicle or
everywhere,
or a private jet of one of my buddies' families, and we'd go all over the place. And he just tagged along, man. So the exposure, guys, from two young men growing up in, dare I say, the poor side of town, was incredible, amazing. It was amazing. So moving forward through that phase, so high school was very eye-opening, very educational, not only through the racism aspect, athleticism, and relationship building with my white brothers. It was incredible.
Wow.
It was amazing. And from there, just moved on. I'm going to move forward to the latter years of the 80s. Excuse me, guys. I went to work for IBM, and I was involved in R&D and data transfer. We were already manipulating, digital data transfer. Now you have iPhones, right? But we were dumping in, data, and the R&D on that was impeccable. And I took that knowledge and moved on to telecom arena.
This is after you got your degrees at UT.
Well, after I got my degree from there and then other arenas from many, many places, right? Because I deviated and I wanted to learn something a little bit more deeper in the ones and zeros world. And I actually went to DeVry Institute of Technology. I mean, I got to study and all this stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm lacking something, right? So I went to DeVry and did their 3-year WET program and condensed it into 2 because I was able to, back in the day it was called Clip Out, and took the exams, and I was fast forward to, the 2nd year of the program. It was amazing. I mean, the studies, the knowledge, the hands-on, the lab work was exactly what I needed. And that's where IBM came in.
Okay.
And picked me up. There was 2 positions open for R&D, and there was 10 of us. And me and one of my Latino brothers from Puerto Rico got picked.
Wow.
It was cool.
In high school and college, were you the Ray Munoz that just knew everybody like you are? That hasn't changed a bit. That's who you are since you were born.
Well,
he's been that way since birth.
my coaches in Lead High School, used to say, Munoz, you're the only one we see that hangs out with the potheads, the hippies, the rednecks, the blacks, and the whites. From the band members to the thespians. I mean, I was all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. Wow. Man. A lot of fun.
What a trip, man. So through high school, you're kind of developing, I guess,
skill set that I have now.
Right? You're developing kind of that.
Last night.
That skill of interacting with the physical world, with other people physically, yes. Right? That's high school. College, you're getting a little more higher level of kind of out of every day, enjoying everybody, to like, what am I really doing? What am I going to get a career in? That's kind of the development of college, right?
The madness of that is so true because suddenly you're dealing with people from all over the world, and you start kind of learning how to communicate, one of my best friends was from Guatemala, you know, one of my study partners. Just an incredibly intelligent young man, you know. You could tell he'd come from a pretty rough life. Mm-hmm. But so, you know, we became, you know, compadres, as they say. So IBM took us. They threw me into this R&D program. It was the coolest thing, guys. I mean, after I graduated from DeVry, understanding that digital world, the sequences of the language that the ones and zeros represent, and how it communicates into a little small platform, you know, some sort of PLC or some sort of board or whatever, and how it all manipulates, you know, through a circuit and just goes from here to there and ties in and sends out a signal. Next thing you know, you've got digital data coming to it.
Wow.
Cool stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I just created a picture the other day. I took a picture of the very first typewriter, or very first keyboard, basically.
Yeah.
And then one that's like a gamer. It's all lit up. It's got all these extra buttons. And then I took an aerial view of what we do. And it's got the microphone in it, the mixer, a keyboard, right? That's the evolution of communication.
Isn't that crazy?
The evolution of change right there,
Awesome.
right? And integrating to that. And making it part of what this is, and understanding obviously the value of sitting down with people that you're building a relationship with, like we're doing today, and capturing that moment. This is it. This is communication right here. This is how the future looks and how it feels. And I like it. I don't mind it. My Bluetooth, it goes right to my phone. A phone calls. I'm now taking a call in the middle of doing a project. Like, I don't move very much, and I'm very effective right here. Let's sit down, do a podcast. Right? Yep. Bang. Just like that.
One comment I want to say about this technology and stuff. First of all, I just want to throw this out. I did study Fortran. Now, that's old school computer language.
Fortran.
But I'll tell you what this has taken away. It's taken, you know, the younger generation away from making hardcore direct decisions on their own. Back when I was growing up, we didn't have cell phones.
From the interpersonal side, right?
Right.
From the
We didn't have that.
side.
You know, when I was an electrical contractor on the electrical side, you know, you run into a situation, it's like, okay, so I'm dealing with some 480 here, transform to 220, 220 to 110. You know, occasionally you had some questions. I would back away. I mean, who am I going to call? I don't have an avenue, but it has to get done.
Wow.
So I would sit down and diagram it, look at it, study it, and then
the engagement of that moment and that problem on a level that doesn't exist for most now. It's, I understand the problem. Googling. Hey, Stan, what am I looking at here?
Check YouTube. They got a video for it.
And I'm not, YouTube will teach you how to develop this, you know, your philosophy of breaking this down. Your ability to sit down, make a distinction, make a decision, and it is the right one. And you don't have.
I didn't burn anything down.
Well, I sure have.
And I did commercial and residential projects all over the country. But it was, so what I take away from the beginning of where I started this conversation, through the days of growth, through those days as a journeyman electrician, through the days of IBM, is as I started, you know, going through the phases of educating myself on the transitions of technology and then, you know, where this thing is headed. I mean, the amazement of the infancy of all this stuff. I can honestly say I was part of that in some form or fashion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So from there I went on, forgot to mention this part, from there I went on to the polymer industry. I received a phone call from a good friend of mine, Wes Wagner and Brown out of Midland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah, and I went to go work for...
That's the same Wagner Noel?
Uh-huh.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Right on. That'd be cool to get him on a podcast one day.
I was the lead journeyman electrician for Cy and Lissa Wagner. And Miss Noel, W.D. Noel, Lissa's mother.
What?
It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, he called and said, "Hey, man, I have an incredible opportunity. I need somebody who's bilingual, and we're doing some R&D on polymers." Anyway, and I was like, there was it was nice, a nice bonus package, etc. And so I took the opportunity, and I'm glad I did, because not only did I meet some impeccable people, but I learned, you know, an industry of sucrale, I mean, all this stuff that on the polymer side that I didn't know anything about. But what I did understand, knowing the processes of, electricity, the processes of the digital world, all this was just a different process that had to be understood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that in its own right was a confidence of getting in the middle of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this ability to see a wall and you're like, I break this down. It's just a process.
It's just a process, man.
Wow.
Just got to figure those out.
Wow.
And then from there, I got back into telecom and worked for a company called Twin Cities Communications. Paul Spate, who was my right tackle, made me really look good on the football field. 'Cause he was 6'9".
Gosh. In high school?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oklahoma State.
And he ran a 4.640.
This is a
T1 school.
a refrigerator with like a 500 horsepower motor in it.
Oh my gosh!
What
man.
the?
And all I needed was a little sliver, and I was gone. But it was
Just
so
hop on his back, holding the ball.
Just keep going, brother.
But did 12 years with them. It was nice to be able to get a little equity on that. So I moved to El Paso, and the thing that literally cut my teeth, gentlemen, on the sales sector was you walk across. I was living in El Paso, and I spent my summers in El Paso, in Juarez specifically. You walk across Calle Santa Fe, go into the main avenue. You commandeer a caddy.
This is a Juarez. The main.
Juarez, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is how I cut my teeth on sales. My job, my main directive was, we need to create some cross traffic with Mexico. We're in the paging industry at that time.
Pagers.
Yes.
Wow.
So let's increase our platform to our clients. We need to get you to go in there and find out whom can we tie into that has a huge footprint.
Wow.
And suddenly we can cross traffic.
Wow.
And
right on.
Increase the volume of their potential clients.
Improve their communication tools.
And I'll never forget this older gentleman. He's in his late 70s, man. He was wonderful. Kind of grandfatherish.
In Mexico?
In Juarez, yeah.
What was his name?
Luis.
Luis.
I'm telling you, Senor Luis, man, amazing. I told him what I was up to. And then I said, I need you to take me to all the paging companies in town because I know where to take you. and you're having to communicate in the local language.
Wow.
In a salesmanship side.
Wow. Going to lunch with them or whatever, meeting with them.
Well, about 4 to 5 weeks into it, I finally got the phone call that I needed. One of the gentlemen that I connected with contacted his people, Azteca Televisión, and then Univision. So the big wigs came in for Mexico City, and I took, my technical team and the owners of one of the owners of the company, and we sat in the Univision office. I did a big presentation.
You're like 20-something years old?
I was in my early 30s.
Early 30s at this point?
Yeah. So you talk about cutting your teeth on the sales sector.
Man. We're going to pause that because we're coming right back into that in the drill down section. I want to get into some of that. Rico, kind of same thing, same idea. What happened? How did you develop out through high school into your professional career?
Very different than Ray. Very different. But growing up as his little brother and being around, him and his friends the entire time and really seeing the way they interacted really helped me to develop my interpersonal skills, how I was going to engage people, how I was going to start conversations, how I was going to just, open up a random conversation with a stranger.
With anyone.
And then I became very comfortable with it. So that carried on. If I go back into elementary school, all I was about was athletics. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do was play basketball. That's all I wanted to do was play football. That's all I wanted to do was be outside. I mean, this was before, obviously before, Netflix and all of that stuff, And I remember having the very first Atari that came out.
Bang, that single joystick
with one button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. I thought I was the best. Everybody wanted to come and hang out with me. But
did you have the football game?
Of course.
Tecmo Bowl or something it was called?
That was way after.
Oh.
This was the little ping, ping. This was just a pong.
Oh, the Pong.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Shoot.
Old school.
All right. Well, I am a little younger than you, but I remember that joystick.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that thing.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? It's Nintendo, man. That's where it's at.
Yeah. But, you know, the funny thing was, Troy, is that still didn't keep me inside. I was always outside. All I wanted to do was be outside with my friends. So fast forward a little bit, we start getting into middle school, and I start realizing, hey, man, I'm actually pretty good at this game. You know, I might be able to do something about this. So I really started to focus on just honing my athleticism, and went to decided that I wanted to go to. At that time, I was in thoughts of being a Roman Catholic priest.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, I got to know God pretty closely, and I was like, hey, maybe I'm called to something different, right? And I found that I needed to be a father of another kind, right? So now having 4 kids and all of that. But, yeah, moved on and was offered a track scholarship from University of Texas, San Antonio. They were looking at me to go triple jump and long jump for them.
Dang.
I was a 100 meter, 200 meter, 4x1 and triple jump and long jumper, believe it or not. Now I look like a defensive end. But
A tackle.
we're good. So, yeah, man. So that's where it all started with me. It was just focus on athletics and all the relationship you develop. It's always been about team for me. Everything's always been about team.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's where you lived. That's where you
always about
operated.
team.
You
Yeah.
thought that way. That's interesting, man, because as we develop our relationship, I get just always just a ton of knowledge and wisdom from you on how you identify the skill sets of someone else and how they fit into this. What's going to keep them motivated, right? If shit starts hitting the fan,
Sure.
they're motivated to fix it. They're motivated to make the distinctions, right, and focus on that problem because you have that knowledge. You see that somehow. I mean, it's interesting. It's just fascinating.
Well, and also you have to understand the way people learn. You can't force feed somebody a book if they're an on-the-job type person, So you have to identify what they're good at, what their role is, how they're going to connect with the team. Do they gel with the team? Are they on the right? Are they on the right team? What kind of value do they add? That kind of stuff. So, and then you got to look at non-value added stuff as well and see, how do we manage that along with the growth of the individual? Don't let them get too tied up into something that's not helping with their growth. You want to make sure that you keep them on track. So that's really helped me in my management career moving, from that or coming from that.
So you're through high school. You're an athlete. Mm-hmm. How big were you in high school? What was your fittest?
Oh, man. I was in high school, 180 pounds, 6 foot, 180.
Sheesh. A freaking
Seminary.
bullet.
How tall was I? Or how big was
Tell
I?
them where you were at. Though.
College. Now college.
In high school was the St. Anthony High School Seminary in San Antonio. And, I was about 175, 180.
6 foot.
Yeah.
Muscle.
About a 440.
Just a bullet.
Just,
dude, I cannot
strong
even.
Safety. I loved it.
You kidding me?
Yeah, but those were the old days, obviously. But, it was a lot of fun.
Violent impacts. Many violent impacts.
And I loved them. I
can tell.
I was hungry for the hit. Like a headhunter. That's what I really enjoyed more than anything.
Just that
Just that
crunch.
contact.
Whop.
Yeah.
Woo! We both get up.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really want to do that
I'm
again.
getting kind of hyped right now. I want to go work out right now. So, let's just keep talking about it.
I would never in my entire life put on a helmet and try to run into you. I would never try to do that.
Those days are long gone, but I tell you what, I mean, my body feels it like it was yesterday. So
in college, what, you grew a little bit, maybe more height, more weight?
I stayed about 6 foot. I think that I finished out right at about, I am 6 foot now, so.
Okay.
And I was at about 185 pounds. I was,
Shoot.
Yeah.
All the way through college. What degree did you get? What kind
I
of?
did not finish college.
Oh.
So I wound up coming back to Midland and going to Midland College. Broke my hand while I was playing. And if you're a receiver, so I was just like, I wasn't going to be a tackling dummy, if you will, So, I gained an extra year of eligibility, but I declined, I walked away from it. Then I decided to get into the military. Got home, got into a little bit of, growing pains, if you will, and decided I needed a little discipline and got into the military.
Wow. Navy.
Navy.
Went to the Navy at 18, 19?
I was 19.
Wow.
How many years, Chris?
12 years total, split
Right.
time. I did 5 years on a ship, and then I got out for 5 years, and then 9/11 happened. I got back in for 7.
Wow.
Yep.
Cool stuff.
Wow. Deciding factor being, I'm going to go defend.
Always, you know, the funny thing is I've always had this very protective nature about me. There's always been something in me that's been driven to kind of like, you know, look after folks, look after people. And 9/11 really, you know, was hard. It took a really hard hit on me. You know, it affected me deeply because, I mean, you know, Ray and I are third generation here in America, you know, so the only reason that we're as smart, as capable, as able is because we had the opportunity we had here. If we would have been back in Mexico where our grandmother grew up and stuff, it might not have turned out the same way, you know, so there's always been a sense of patriotism in our family. You know, being from Texas, man, it's even furthers it, you know, so, you know, I mean, you know, remember the Alamo, you know, I mean, that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
it was really something that that I just really felt like I needed to pursue. After the 12 years were up, you know, I felt like I had given back, but you know, I continue to have that feeling like I still need to give more. You know what I mean? You know, like I need to grow people or show people how to be better, to get out of their ruts so that they can see the potential they have.
Gosh, dude.
You know, so it's always been something that's driven me. So
You developed that mindset, that sentence or sequence of words that you just said at the end of the Navy. When you got out of the Navy, you had that, or is that still developing at this point?
oh no, it's constant. It's you know, I like to consider myself more of like a, you know, like a living document. It's never done. It's always progressing. So I learned, I've had a lot of great mentors, this one being the first one, and, you know, growing me up. And, you know, he's gotten me out of some messes. I mean, we didn't grow up in the easiest households, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was always there to kind of, so, you know, it kind of instilled in me, you know, you gotta look after one another. And so I continue that today. You know, I instill that in my children.
Big
I
time.
instill that in my children. So, yeah, it's a big deal for me.
Dude. And your delivery. I told you this the other day. I said, like, you know, you have that physical presence. And Stan does too, right? You see a huge physical human being. You have it in the intensity of your eyes. And to me, Ray has the ability to unlock that I'm physically here. You know what I mean? When you're engaging with somebody, you don't get that with everybody that quickly.
Sure.
Got it instantly. But you have the physical one that turns everybody to go, all right, this is physically a huge human being. And then you start talking. And then it's like, whoa, you're actually listening. You're actually like really talking when you talk.
Right. But you have to understand also there's two things, and I'm sure Stan can attest to this. Sometimes you have to make people okay with you being there. 'Cause when you're a big guy, they're like, is this guy with some taco sauce, is he going to eat me right now? You know what I mean? I mean, what's going on? What is he here for? You know, is he here to, you know, is he going to kill me?
Right.
What's going on? And the reality is, you know, so you kind of have to get people in a position to be comfortable. So
Sure.
I try to smile a lot.
Oh yeah, you do instantly.
You know, and I try to make sure that, hey man, let people know that they can let their guard down. You know that you know I'm there, and that you know, in most cases, I'm trying to learn from them. So
Man. Well, every time we get together, man, both you guys, every time we do this and more, I get to work with you guys, I feel like I'm just way more attentive to the nuts and bolts, the X's and O's of what's going on and all that stuff. So I just value our time together like crazy.
Thank you, Troy.
Like crazy.
that. Likewise with us, though, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
our conversations go to places that we never intended them to go, and then
Yeah.
we wind up walking out of there kind of nodding like, man, that was intense, you know, or you know what I mean? You know, so hey, continuous improvement, brother.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right on. And now we're about to officially start the drill down segment of the PBE podcast
It was turned off. Okay.
with Ray Munoz and Big Bro, a.k.a. Rico, of the PBE podcast. And so specifically what I want to talk about, guys, is something that's developed the last couple of weeks, right? We've been working on just different projects and starting to become part of this, you know, this movement of ideas and trying to make discoveries and push forward new technologies, all this stuff we always talk about. And then today happened and yesterday happened. I thought, man, what a unique opportunity I think it is to sit down with you guys specifically and kind of break down the difference between what you learn in academia and kind of what you learn as a young professional versus what you learn in your career. what you earn through your career, right? You can talk, both are learning and earning experiences. I get it, but let's be honest. You know, your career, what you stood on for 30 years, what you build your retirement on, right? That decision, those decisions, that part of your life is a lot different than that first, you know, growing part of your life. So what's the difference, Ray?
Let me tell you, gentlemen, it's easy. My response is simple. You know, I mentioned the ones and zeros world. I mentioned, studies in many arenas, you know, from physics to chemistry. You know, that's great. The educational aspect of it, that's wonderful. But my true experience is immersing out there in the public. Get your hands on it. Understand. Remember that example I gave you as an electrician. You have to understand. Give yourself the confidence. So what have I learned? Well, certainly, all the educational aspect has been an asset. So you take that and then you start looking at the processes in real life, whatever that is. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
If it's grabbing a hammer and nailing a nail on the board, it's still a process, right? It's simple stuff. But you just have to understand it. So what have I taken? Well, we've got to continue to grow and understand, educate ourselves. On-the-job training, everybody's heard it. It's the best education anybody can have, in my opinion. But the
OTJ.
basis that has allowed me to really move forward to where I'm at now, no doubt, was the educational aspect.
Would you say the educational aspect was kind of like a building of a diving board of some kind? Did you feel it was loading up the bow? Mm-hmm. Did you really feel that way? This was teaching me exactly how to attack that next stage.
Yes.
Wow, that's good.
So, you know, as an electrician, when I got back into the digital world, you know, understanding electrical processes even further, I already had the training outside of the educational side. Because I'd been doing it since I was 16 years old, You know what I mean? And learning the basis of electrical processes,
right?
You know, different voltages, different amps, different ratios. I mean, just all kinds of neat stuff.
Right.
So to me, transition has been, I'm not going to say easy by any means. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. Because you still have to learn what those processes are.
Sure.
But I'm not going to fail.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting to take it at that point because for me it was like, you know, a strategy, right? There's like this ultimate plan, and if I execute it perfectly, I'll have everything that I dreamed of, right? That's a concept that maybe you have. But the reality is, no. There's a fucking process out there, and you need to understand that process as fast and as accurate as you can and get going on that process. Start getting your real world experience on that process. Accept it. Believe in it.
Yep.
I like that. That's interesting. It does very, very much simplify exactly what it's all about.
Yep.
Get in the process and understand it. Magma chem, in a sense, is interesting to think about in geologic sense because it's all about the process at the end of the day to find where to put the mine, right? Where that body of ore is. However, you cannot get there without making a shit ton of mistakes that can set you back for years without understanding the source.
Exactly.
So there is a source and process part to this life. Source and process. It's not all about the process. I get that. That's a big part of it. Big part of
I'll
it.
tell you what the bigger part is, Mr. Tittlemeyer.
Ooh.
I'm telling you right now, that's great. The biggest struggle, in so many ways, culturally, different languages, different religions, different
Cultures, yeah.
It's the interpersonal relationships that you build as you go forward through life.
Exactly.
That right there, in my opinion, is the number one goal that everybody needs to understand.
Wow.
I spoke to the Young Professionals Association in West Texas.
Yes.
I think I told you this. I'd like to share that with everybody. That's great. I said, what am I supposed to talk about? You know, and said, all your global experiences. I said, well, that's great. Give me your top 10 questions, and I'll put a little PowerPoint together. In the end, there was 5 points, but I'm going to get to the 5th one so I don't bog this down much. And I literally walked away from the microphone, the platform, and walked around the audience and said, this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the most important one in my life, in my experiences. If you have a question, a concern, or a desire to know something. Most importantly, if there's a concern about an individual, whether it's a relationship, and business, doesn't matter. Don't go outside the source, because then suddenly you're going to get opinions from other people that's been embellished, and their assumptions are the same thing because they're just assuming, because they're hearing it from somebody else.
Wow.
What you need to do is take it to the source.
Wow.
In confidence. You create that face-to-face. Witness body movement. Witness eye contact. Witness the tone of their voice. Understand what the response is. Then at that point, you can formulate your own opinion.
Right.
Versus going to, Stan, what have you heard about Troy and his, his boyfriend or whatever? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just, that to me right there, everything we've talked about, that's fantastic. Education, yes. Careers, wonderful.
Right.
But when it comes right down to it, interpersonal relationships, building those relationships, and making sure that your confidence gives you the ability to question anything that you're concerned about.
Wow. If you do not address the source, you will mess up the understanding the process.
Indeed.
Wow.
So, and
That's
afterwards,
good.
man, everybody's like, wow,
That's good.
great advice.
That's fucking, I love it.
Well,
Love it. Because
I've
that's,
experienced it.
that's right. That's what I've experienced, right? I mean, that's what we experience.
I'm experiencing it right now. People are out there just, talking smack. And that's okay. Nobody's coming to me. That right there gives me the confidence that shame on them.
Wow. That's right. What an interesting way to think about both sides of that.
Yeah.
Both
So
sides
anyway,
of that. Who's actually coming to the source?
I'll leave it. I'll leave
Who are these source seekers, right? That's probably a small population.
Yeah, and I think
Source
that
seekers.
you have to consider the human element in everything, right? Even conversations, there's operator error. You know what I mean? Even in conversations, people say the wrong things. And,
Absolutely.
make the wrong determinations or whatever the case may be. But the human element is what drives everything, right? So if you understand that, this person's human, or you understand that, and you're able to get to the bottom of everything and understand that, hey, man, was it a misunderstanding?
What's really going on?
What's really happening here? You know what I mean?
Was it intentional?
Or what? Or what's? But that's the determination you make by going to the source itself.
And you
You don't do it from a 30,000 foot view. 30,000 foot view is you don't see everything going on down
right.
there. You know what I mean?
And you have that moment when I ask you this question, to look me in the eye and answer me that question, and I understand where we're at. By the way I'm looking at you and watching you. You have that moment to be true or to be something else. Absolutely. And you can't hide that. It is unhideable. You can't mask that in real life.
Body language, tone of voice. Those things right there, they speak volume.
Oh, because then all of a sudden you have a gut feeling. You walk away and you're like, what is my gut telling me here?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know what was happening. I felt it. I understood that. You experienced that. Wow. So many times we do that. That's
I know,
good.
and it's dangerous for everyone. Gosh, it's just dangerous, guys. Because if you go to the sources, you just said it perfectly. What does your gut tell you? Wow, these people out there are just talking madness. Or, wow, I think they were correct. But what you don't do afterwards is give your opinion and continue the madness of rumors. Just keep it to yourself. Just simply say.
We can't for some reason, right?
Ask Troy, man.
Social media. Social media is, that's it.
What his boyfriend's name is.
Operator error, man.
Social media exists off operator error. 90% of social media is operator error. It's somebody's opinion based on somebody else's opinion, what they thought was the source.
Or how about this? The picture that's being painted on there is fabricated. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, it's a highlight reel for people's lives.
Right.
You don't know the pain they're going through, what they're dealing with,
right,
or their insufficiencies and all
right,
that stuff, right?
Right.
So it's a highlight reel. That's what it is. It's a highlight reel. It's Sports Center. It's Sports Center on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shit, yeah, dude.
Man. Two different total perspectives here, man. This is kind of cool. At least the same thing, though.
That's right. I love it. I love it. I love it. Man. Where do I want to take it from there? This is so good, talking about source and process and understanding that and earning that, right? That's what I was really after, this idea that you experience it after you kind of learn the ideas. That's where I want to take it. in academia or in your young life, you really have one or two mentors that really develop. It's probably a professor, most likely if it's college time, right? Or it's somebody that's real close to you, an uncle or your dad or a family member of some kind, right? When you're young. Sure. Then when you get in the professional world, you now have immediately a new one. It's your boss, right? It's or a coworker. Huh? It's somebody that's like, hey, hold on, we're in this. It's going to work together. Absolutely. You do that right. I do this right. We're going to make something new. We'll all make money. You start having these new mentors, and they compound. They compound. It's a compound positive. Mentors that are making an impact on the way you decide and the way you operate. What's the difference between a professor doing that, right, getting ready for that, and that working environment one, the boss, the manager, the coworker? What's the difference there? Anything?
I think so. My career coach, Brian Baker.
Love him.
Yeah,
you need to meet him.
Brian Baker.
Brian Baker.
How do I get a hold of the guy? Got his email?
He's an amazing man.
Give him 1 minute synopsis of who he is.
Brian Baker. Yeah. Family's from Trinidad. His dad was an immigrant. Brought his family over here to do better for him. He's an oil guy. His dad was.
Wow.
His dad was an oil guy. And he challenged them all to be the best that they could be based on the opportunity they had now. Brian has taken the operations ideas of operations management, turned them upside down on their head because of how assertive he is and delivering that message. It's like, okay, before he started his job, he would drive over, sit in the parking lot before he was hired, and he would watch how the people he was going to manage, he would actually watch and see how they did certain things, or
wow,
interacted.
Were they interacting?
Human behavior.
Yeah, and he would take that with him, so that he would have data to be able to be the best manager he could be for that. Because I've been a manager in multiple, in a few different companies, and my experiences are totally different one from the other. He's taken it to where, as long as you stay the same, but you're always improving yourself. You take those elements, you use them to become the best manager you can be. And he's perfected it. He knows how to talk to you. He's going to talk to Troy the way Troy needs to hear it, and you're going to want to go to work for him. Give you an example. We were on a walkthrough. It's called a Gimbal Walk in the lean manufacturing world. And the Gimbal Walk is you walk to each department, you look for the health of the entire facility, the entire operation. So you have representatives from customer service, engineering, the fabrication department, operations,
human resources, all of it.
HR, everybody. The president would walk with us to get an understanding of what each department's health was.
Define health.
Health. Do we have any machines down? What kind of downtime are we looking at? What's your machine capacity? Do you have labor loss? Do you have material shortages?
Got it.
The entire health, so the total health of the department. As we were walking, I was there 2 weeks, and I was really still just starting to get my, it was a whole different experience for me than what I had been in before. And this customer service supervisor pulls me on the carpet. She puts me on the carpet in front of everybody. I'm a really young supervisor at this point, right? Still a little heady, still trying to understand my role. And I kind of froze, like I didn't have an answer for her. She's like, so what's going on in your fabrication department, and when can I expect to see so-and-so, and blah, 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 blah. I just kind of stood there. Everybody, all these faces just turned on me.
Started feeling the heat. The energy was coming in.
Right, and I'm like,
hey, Troy, she went this.
Yeah. And I'm like this. I'm going, okay. And then Brian Baker steps in. He said, we're going to look into that, and in an hour's time, he will have that information for you.
Oh, he was actually standing there working with you. Oh, shit.
With
okay, cool.
So they all start walking. Okay, thanks, Brian. And I'm like, man, I messed up. Hey, first failure on the job, right? So we start walking, and I can feel my blood pressure and this anger surfacing.
Silverback
is coming. Hey, Brian, can I talk to you? Is this the way we do business around here? I mean, you just call people out like that? It was the way that she delivered it. You get the body language and tone of voice. She was purposefully putting me on the carpet because she wanted to
make an example out of you.
Like I have this handled, and you have no idea what you're doing. And Brian says, "Is this the way we do business here?" And he says, "Do you want to quit?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't want to quit." And he said, "Then I need you to lace your boots up and let's get moving. You get that information to her in an hour's time."
Dang.
And I said,
Wow.
"Okay." And I walk off, and my whole focus was mission accomplishment. I've got an hour. The time is ticking. The clock is moving, and I've got to get information. And I didn't want to ask a single person for help because I needed to figure it out on my own.
Wow.
Welcome to my world.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
I needed to figure it out on my own.
Wow.
And later on, and as we developed our relationship more, I realized that he knew exactly how to talk to me. I'm a military guy. Put me in a position to succeed. And he did that. And he was able to identify that in me. Now, granted, another supervisor would have started crying if it was somebody, you know what I mean, by the way he did it. But he knew that was going to draw the best out of me. And I've never forgotten that because it's exactly the way I challenge people based on what their learning type is and based on what their skill set is and how can we improve this? How can I get you to where you need to be? You know, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So you develop as kind of like really kind of paying attention to human behavior.
That's what it's always been that.
Wow.
It's always been that.
And
You
at
can
the end
have
of
all
the
the
day-
data in the world, but if you don't deliver it properly, it's going to be useless in the ears of the other people.
Well, that's a
Did you
good
get
point.
the job done?
Got it done. Got it done.
So what did she think of that?
She just kind of, after a while, she knew that, it was probably best that we just,
Back
we stay
off a little
cordial. Yeah, okay, all right, you did good, kid, kind of thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Keep it up.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, man. So I always had this 3 Ps ever since watching some stupid reality TV show. But the guy was always about people, product, and process, right? And those are the 3 things
Makes
that
sense.
if you got those, I'm ready to invest. So he'd come in and evaluate a business, and his focus was the 3 Ps.
Sure.
Who are the people? What's the process? What's the product, right? What are you actually selling?
It's funny that you say that because there's an element also in leadership that specifies that exactly. But you manage the process. You don't manage people. You lead people. You manage the process. And when you start doing it the other way around, that's when your management gets compromised. When you start managing people and leading processes, you've lost it. When people start going around you for answers, you've lost them.
Wow.
And when you don't give them reason to come to you, shame on you.
Game over.
Wow.
Shame on you.
Shit. Wow. How interesting is that?
And the product is its own thing, right? Quality, right? You want to get good quality.
Sure,
right?
yeah. Well,
that
it-
speaks for itself.
That goes a completely different direction at that point.
I call that one the byproduct of what you're saying. The byproduct is leading good people, managing the process efficiently will always make a good byproduct.
Sure.
Right? Whether it's going to be highly economic or not, well, I don't know. If everyone's going to buy a fidget for $1,
Right.
and you're a billionaire overnight because you made some stupid fidget, right? And now you're managing that process. You just make a shit ton of them. That's okay, cool. But somebody might just fail completely on the byproduct. But you can't make a mistake if you got good leadership, people that understand that, how you pull the best out of people. How do you do that? How do you identify, this person's a OTJ kind of person, on the job, hands-on. This person's, more, give them a pamphlet, tell them page by page, take your notes. How do you identify that kind of stuff?
Well, I tell you what, you can't do it spending 5 minutes a day around them. You have to engage people. You have to engage them. You have to know them. You have to know what makes them tick. You got to know what I did notice is, next time when you come in and you speak to the operations planning or the operational planning manager, if you're coming in and interrupting him on a Zoom call, probably not the best way to do it. Let's come in and say, hey, when you get some time, get back to me or something. But if you feel like, it's more important than what those type of things, you have to be able to share things with people and give them feedback. And this is what I saw. Help me understand that. This is what took place. How did that happen? What were you thinking when that happened? How were you feeling? And they start talking, and you start to understand the way they're, the ins and outs of what their life is and and that's how you grow people. Otherwise, if you're just telling people what to do, you're just managing them. You're not leading them.
Right. Wow.
You got to spend time with them, man. Got to spend time.
Good, dude.
Two
That's
totally
good.
different perspectives, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
But just multiplying and a compound defense of kind of for me, right? Developing, right? You guys are basically mentors to me in some of this in a whole new way. You know, I got Stan on the geology science, Stan in every way, honestly. The more I spend time with him, the more I get his perspective and how he thinks about things and processes and source and all that. I value that so much. And same with you guys, right? The same thing. I'm getting so much from the conversations we have, man. I'm so glad we're recording this right now. Because then that's where I go. I go and I watch it, and I listen to it again, and I really get it. I don't go to a textbook. I don't. I will if I absolutely have to. If I have to go there and read something to get an image for the presentation, right? Here's the black and white of what we're doing, I'll do that. But to sit down and read documents all day long in a scientific method and all that stuff, no. I'm going to sit down and listen. I'm going to watch videos, and I'm going to engage in listening. That's just how I do.
And you know what that's called? It's called sharpening the saw.
Huh.
Sharpening the saw. So I went through this 7 Habits of Highly Effective People class. It was a Covey. I don't know if you remember this. Dave Covey, I believe it is.
Ringing a bell.
The last part was sharpening the saw. You can learn all these organizational skills. You can get everything in order. You can get the skill set or whatever. But if you're not honing that, if you're not sharpening the saw to keep it sharp all the time, then at some point, it's just, it's going to fail. It's going to fall through. Sharpening the saw.
Wow. I love that. All right. Well, I think that was the drill down segment. I sure got a lot out of it. You guys feel good on the drill down?
Indeed.
Good.
You want to dive right into your notes? I think this would be interesting. Right into your notes. It's the completion part of the PBE podcast, which the concept of the PBE podcast was pretty simple in the beginning. We just said, you know what? Let's put people on the microphones and ask them their experience of the Permian Basin. What is your experience of the basin? That was kind of the concept of PBE. What developed was something completely different, and I had no idea even existed. And that's really the artwork of a network of this community that you now have these relationships with, and you're building on, right? And you're really investing in all these guests, and they're invested. It's just this crazy network that builds. And in that comes all kinds of new information, new ideas, and that we can apply to modern problems, right? We need solutions today for something. We're doing it in a totally unique way with brand new information, evolving ideas on the front lines of these microphones, and then applying it to real world applications. Sure. That's the point of the PBE podcast. That's what we do. That's what we do. And that's our shows. That's our focus. And it's freaking fun. So thanks, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Right on. Completion. Let's do it. Completion's all about kind of where's it going, man? Where are we going from here? What is this? We kind of got it figured out. There's a process here. We certainly have sources. Where are we going with it? Right? What's the completion?
Ray, you want to go? What's your thoughts?
It's a matter of, again, just continue to educate myself in regards to what our true purpose is. And, especially it's coming up in our presentation to all these oil men in West Texas in a couple of weeks. Building the confidence in order for me to get up there and, start the processes of presenting what we're trying to offer. Continue to learn.
Yeah.
PBE is Magicam, and just, and I'm going to take his advice, Stan's advice, get on a website and start even learning more, educating myself even further.
Man.
So, that's what is going to continue to hopefully make us all successful.
Yeah.
Because once I get comfortable with something, it'll come from the hip.
Right.
It'll come from the hip, man. That's it. I mean, there's not going to be any notes. There's not going to be anything. It'll come from the hip, and that's what I see. That's up and coming, and what's going to make PBE, Magmachem, and our consulting group successful.
Ray Munoz Consulting LLC. Contact Ray Munoz. If you need to go to the source, a valued, trusted source, you go to Ray Munoz Consulting LLC.
And these people do trust me.
That's right. That's right.
These aren't the folks that are out there spreading rumors.
That's just noise, distractions.
He knows all about that.
Distractions.
They're not even distractions anymore, man. It's just like, just continue, just
I love that about how you said all that, right? And your focus out of all that could be that answer. And he said, what's your thoughts on that? I'm like, oh, this is good, right? You're just going from the hip. What I got from it, though, was, we got, it's right in front of us, right? We build our interpersonal skills. We keep developing what we're doing. We keep pushing forward on that. We have trust in each other. We have trust in the people around us. We know this thing's moving forward, and we're excited to be a part of that. And I think that, for all of us, is going to allow us just this new chapter of focus, this new chapter of, drive. The drive, what gets you out of that bed and gets you to that door and gets you in front of those people that you want to build interpersonal skills with. That drive in our life, that focus, that passion, it's all in alignment. It's like this void that where we're just filling this thing, man. It's a current, and let's just ride this thing. Let's ride the current and do the best we can, right? It's against all of our interests to do anything wrong or incorrect or inefficient. We're all those types of people. But we're loose electrons. I certainly am. I'm all over the place, right? I go in every direction I possibly can because I believe in it all. I believe in everything, right? And I'm optimistic, and I can get that's why we have these checks and balances. That's why we have a network. That's why we have this group. That's why you know who I am, and I know who you are, and I get to talk to you, and you get to ask those questions, and that's how we pump the brakes with each other, and right? Let's focus.
That's why we have committees.
That's why we have committees.
Well, I'm like you, man. I'm OCD, ADD. I wear BVDs. I mean, what the heck, man?
Hey, but now
what you see is what you get.
That's right. That's exactly right, too. That's a big part of it. That's the big part right there. Yeah. When you start overshadowing the truth of who you are, people don't want to be around that. They want to know who you are.
That's it.
Which is why it was important when you went to Seattle that you stayed at my house.
Right.
That was very important. I needed to get eyes on him, right? I needed to know him.
That was monumental.
I need to know who you are.
That was monumental.
You know what I mean? I need to know. I need to know that my family sees you. I need to know that, this relationship is going to be what it is. You need to know who we are.
That's right.
So what you see is what you get.
That's right.
Plus, he saved me thousands of dollars.
Because of course I would have been in the penthouse suite somewhere.
No, you would have been.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Your notes.
Sharing a bedroom with me. Anyway.
Much better.
It's funny because when I was, you're bringing up the notes or whatever, and I keep looking at them, and I almost feel like I don't want to miss the strength of what it was that I was feeling at the time that I was taking this down, But, just to start, Ray and I, we grew up in a culture, I don't want to say culture, but we grew up in a neighborhood and a life where I think that, people in our neighborhoods, people we grew up with, were only expected to get to a certain level. And then, oh, you made it. Hey, you got a job, man. You're good. You got a job. You're good. You should feel good about yourself. You're working. And for Ray and I, it was a lot more than that, there was that hunger where I'm not fulfilled yet. I'm not there yet. I need to do more. There's got to be more out there. And there were times where, we've fallen back into that mindset, and you have to fight it off. You have to fight it off. You have to chip away at the falsehoods that have been given to you over time. You have to literally chip away at those. Otherwise, they'll consume you, right? And I was thinking about that because, I thrive and have been successful in continuous improvement environments specifically because they're continuously improving. They're not stagnant. It's not something that you just stand in. You don't just sit in it and you're like, okay, we're good, we're done. You have to continuously improve, and that's what Magma Chem is. If it didn't challenge the academia and it didn't challenge everything that we were taught growing up in school, and then, what is it really there for then, right? So that's what makes it so interesting to me, right? I live for lean manufacturing. I live for continuously improving. That's what I do in the operations sector, right? And then I'm like, look at these guys, right? So if they did it the way they always did it, and they didn't challenge that, we would just be stagnant. It'd be the same thing over and over and over, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what makes it so interesting. That's why I'm excited about being here. I've had tons of mentors, that have challenged my way of thinking, and why should this be any different? Why should we not challenge the thinking of everyone else out there with a proven model, with what it is that you guys are doing, and then actually making it work, showing everybody, it'll be a slap in the face of what reality is to some people. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
out of our
Well, old methods keep us stagnant. You know, they keep us stagnant. We don't move. We don't progress. I mean, we were just talking about technology a while ago at the beginning of it, you know, and how we've gone from pagers to now. I mean, people can't live without their cell phones, you know, because it does so much. It's a computer in your pocket. You know, if we would have stayed with pagers and we were still there, you know, with the way methods are needing that technology, then we wouldn't advance as a civilization, as a people. So anyway, the funny thing for me is that growing up in West Texas.
Good catch.
And thank you. Growing up in West Texas and now living in Seattle has shown me completely different sides of the coin, man.
That is.
We're talking about jumping the fence, bro. Culturally, everything. You know, and I grew up in a very conservative, very oil-rich area. So we didn't have the money, but we knew it was there. You know, and that, you know, having to understand and just being around that culture and then going to a completely liberal. And I'm not here to argue whether, you know, right side, left side. That's
You
not
just
me.
experienced both.
That's not me, because I learn from everybody, and it's important that you pay attention to these things. And when you fall on your ass, if you stay down there, you're stagnant. You're not moving. That's the important part of this. That's why I want to be a part of it. That's why I want to be a part of this. You know, that's why I believe in what my brother does. That's something that I've learned from him, and then over my own personal experiences.
Wow.
Being able to, you know, learn from everybody, regardless of culture, regardless of ethnic background, regardless of religious ideology.
You
know,
see,
you've got to
through
learn,
that.
man. You got to learn. Sharpen the saw. You got to keep doing it, man. You got to keep doing it. And if you're not, then you're stagnant. And to be quite honest with you, you know, what value are you adding?
Wow.
You know, so
Personally.
yeah, as an individual, you know, and you got to continue to do that. So
Wow.
yeah, so the belief that you guys have and what I'm seeing, you know, I think it's going to be important when other people open their eyes and see the exact same thing, because it's there, man. It makes sense.
Yep. And we're going to have a good time doing it.
Can I add to something that?
Yeah.
He says very something key. Religions, races, culturals, etc. One of the honors that I've had in my most recent career in the past 16 years is to engage in business endeavors on a global scale.
Yeah.
And guys, I've dealt with the Hindi, the Buddhist, the Muslims, the non-Christians, the Christians, etc., from the Middle East to Northern Africa, Western Africa,
Wow.
West Indies, all over South America, Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, Germany, all over the UK.
Developing what you would say is interpersonal relationships with these people.
So in closing, what I want to say is, again, I think this is very important that people understand this. You know, those that have not had the exposure that I've had, and actually immersed myself in third world countries, immersed myself in exciting environments like Buenos Aires. Woo, man, it's like New York City in the South.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? But you go to the slums of Venezuela, you go to the slums of Saudi Arabia, you go to the slums of Algiers. I mean, all these places. You've got these freaking, Libya, for example, Gaddafi. God almighty, I mean, just the atrocities that you witness. One thing I did know and notice in speaking with those who are being ostracized, I guess, for lack of a better term, we're all seeking the same thing, guys. It's simple. It's easy. Yep. We're all seeking the same thing. We're looking for love. Let me start over. Family, love, health, and in the end game, a little bit of wealth. I don't care who you talk to, what country, and what language you speak. Doesn't matter. That's the 4 key things that I discovered in dealing with all these
Different
on a business level, religious aspects. I mean, I had to study, guys, hard before I went into the country. How do I carry myself as an expat in order to be successful?
As an expat?
A person that goes in, a foreigner, doing business there.
Wow.
How do I
protect? You did it in the early 30s in Mexico.
The how do I protect the reputation not only of mine, but the company I'm representing? Well, you read a little bit of the Hinduism, study a little bit of the Buddhism, read the Quran a little bit, just to kind of get an idea. Talk to your agents, whom you have to have. Out of respect, for example, in Oman, PDO is the oil and gas company. And these Muslim women that have different colors or different garbs, face covered, face non-covered, they come from different tribal sects.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to understand. Bottom line is, you said it perfectly. You have to understand whom you're dealing with. Doesn't matter if you're dealing with someone from Northern Africa or, someone from, the U.S. It doesn't matter. To be successful, I'll drill on this all day if I need to. Interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what culture they are, because we're all seeking the same thing. All you got to do is show respect and protect that respect from being in a foreign country. Mm-hmm. Those are the experience I felt and witnessed.
Like that.
And it's funny that Bray says that. When I was in the military overseas, we were doing anti-drug operations in South America. And you have to train. We were training the Chilean Navy and the Peruvian, military. And when we were down there doing that, although we spoke the same language, we were very different people. And they think the privileged American Latin guy is over here telling us what it's like to struggle.
Oh, wow.
So you have to be very aware of how you speak and those interpersonal, and then you learn from that. Like, man, so when I came back, I even had, I'd gained so much more respect for being American, because you see, Miraflores, Peru, as you're driving in there, you're driving through all of these slums and these tiny shacks that people live in. The sewage is out in the open, things like that. And then you get to the city and it's grand, and all these old buildings and these discos and these clubs, these people dress nicely.
Wow.
But literally within blocks of one another.
Yeah.
And then you have to look at, the scope of their life. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you doing? I'm here to train their Navy to defend their country
coastlines,
or whatever, but their country, this is their country. This is what it is. So you get to know that kind of stuff. And you come back and you're like, you don't really know what it's like to have the hunger in your gut, not knowing if you're going to get another meal. Nobody knows that in most cases here in America. I mean, so that in itself, it brings value to a person. Him seeing that overseas, just, man, what am I complaining about? What am I complaining about, right? So,
I have a ingrown toenail. Oh, my God.
And they can't get me into the doctor's office till next week.
Ruining my day.
So, yeah.
Jesus. Anyway, there we go.
Wow. Perspective. One thing that's dropped out is the pursuit of truth, is a common thing that we say, and that Stan has.
Oh, no. The truth is right here.
Can you Google it?
No, that's not the truth, man.
Yeah.
This pursuit of truth is such a deep and such an interesting concept, and in regards to the rocks, and in regards to how the physical world seems to have put itself together. Every moment of that, every reaction of that, everything about that's our pursuit of truth, and that's really, really exciting. But at the end of the day, we all have our own approximation of our reality, right? Your approximation of reality, or your ability to see what is truth, is slightly different than mine. And when we have to have empathy with each other,
It's a big word, man. I love that.
boom, that opens it up. That's that tension release, is empathy. Boom. And now we're just here, right? We're just here, and I'm trying to do the best I can, understand you, and how can I learn from you and move this forward in the pursuit of truth. That's it for me, and that gets me fired up, man. And that's hard, because you got to be truthful to yourself. You got to be, that's hard. That is hard, and we all have a past, and it's twists and turns of all kinds and all shapes and sizes. And you're not a product of what you purchased. You're the birth of now. Right? You can migrate all that into a line, into your mean trail, represent that trail with where you stand today and how you speak today. Move forward. That's the pursuit of truth, man. And at the end of the day, you got science and all of it together to ingrained in it, right? And innovating in it and integrating into it. All of that is in what we do. And then, oh, by the way, there's business and there's opportunities to make wealth from all of this stuff. And that's great. That's what I was born in. We're all born in that opportunity, I think. But it just comes in so many different approximations of reality. But I think across the world, we are going to get way better, gentlemen, in the ability to generate energy for people. And that is just incredible growth and opportunity for everybody in every language across every border.
Absolutely.
To get cleaner, to get more efficient.
Absolutely.
Wow. You know, what a great opportunity. What a time to live in right now. What a thing to be a part of right now. Let's harness your ability. Let's harness what you are and what you know and what Ray is and everybody that's in this, right, that really wants to be in this. Let's harness the best of us, move forward collectively. That's the completion segment of the PBE podcast today. That's how I feel.
Right on.
That's how I
I
feel.
like that empathy part.
I can
Empathy and sympathy, the difference, right? To sympathize is to say, I feel so sorry for what you're dealing with. Empathize is, how can I help you deal with that? Right? So empathy to say, I'm making myself available, right? So that's important.
And even then, you have to be careful.
Mm.
But anyway,
Right? No, that's
that's all I have to
right.
say.
That's right. Watch your six.
That's my
Yeah.
word. Watch your six.
Because you can't
And
be
that's probably
naive.
what I'm not very good at, man. I go head first, don't I? I dive right
Yeah,
in,
it's
man.
like-
I'm like, what do you
and
need? I'm with you. Let's do
And
that.
I'm the dude
Oh,
that's
we're,
gonna.
what? We're going to jail? I was just trying to help you, man. You know what I mean?
By the way, I've never been to jail, so
Is that right?
that is correct. No,
Oh, wow. Knock on wood. You're still burning a trail.
it's the truth. I promise you.
Wow.
As Beaver Cleaver would say, it's
Stan
the tooth.
can't even say
It's
that.
the tooth.
I was in jail for 8 hours once.
You know what's
never been.
There's a funny story about him camping on this acreage one time, and he feels this big old gust of wind outside the tent. He's just telling me this the other day. And he's like, what the hell was that? Early morning. He unzips, and he says he walks out to get another one. Boom.
With a helicopter.
Looks over. This rancher's got a fucking flamethrower in his hands, pointing it at Stan
Well, he ran across that far from my face.
for being out on his land. He was mapping. He was looking at the rocks, mapping the rocks, just out, hiking.
Yeah,
What?
partner with me too.
Not a gun, but a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Wow.
He goes, that kind of changed my view on tenting.
Wow, that's interesting.
Well, it was a really dry year, so what he was out really doing, other than just showing us a thing or two,
That's funny, man.
was torching cholla cactus.
Oh,
Because
okay.
the cattle had been out there eating it.
That's
It
what he
so
was doing.
dry.
Yeah.
We were seeing all day
The-
for several weeks.
Yeah,
Cattle wandering around with cholla right on. They
sure.
were literally
That's
eating
that's
it.
just brutal, man. Can you imagine? They were dealing with the pain. So they-
Drought.
Yeah.
It was survival. Straight up
About
survival.
sympathy.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Well,
Chewing on a cholla.
Where we headed next?
Cool. Well, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. You guys are excited. Thank you for coming, right? Just visiting and being willing to be on the show and talk about your life, your experiences.
it was fun.
It's a
And
pretty
you
good
only know
podcast.
that much.
We're just getting started. Love that.